But he said, I'd be interested to know more about your engagement techniques. How are you getting, residents involved? Because it's all okay to say we've got to get them involved. But I mean, to what extent do you think you'll be met with enthusiasm? Will you be met with resistance? And if you have resistance, because they say, look, we're getting the money now, we don't want to know how to use it, it's our money, fine. What will you do to tackle that?
Well, I think in terms of our engagement techniques, we have got a tried and tested model which we've used over the last few years, which is called community champions. I mean, through this program, we're actually calling them community coaches, where we actually actively recruit customers who face the same barriers of people that we'll be targeting on this program, and we recruit them, employ them, and pay them as local outreach workers. And they then go about engaging their peers in quite sort of soft activities, fun activities, locally delivered in local centres. They'll go around, they'll door knock, they'll put on a bit of a session in a local club, they'll go to schools, they'll frequent with people in the school playground. You know, so it's about developing a relationship with people right at the start before actually saying, you know what, you need to think about getting a job. So it's really subtle and soft approaches. And like Emma said, we do use reality TV programs as a way of engagement. In the past, we've used Big Brother, where we've used the Big Brother chair and we've created the Big Brother diary room. People absolutely love that program. They come along, they sit in the chair, they talk to a camera and share with us lots and lots of interesting information. But it's how you engage people in that fun way. One of the pictures we showed was Deal or No Deal, so that's based obviously on the Noel Evans TV programme. So it's fun, but the red boxes actually contain some important decisions that people have to make. So whether it's about paying their rent or whether it's paying for Sky TV, you know, it's about making the right choices and getting people to understand that actually they're the only ones that can make those choices. We can give them a range of tools and we can give them a range of skills and information, but ultimately it is in their own power to make that change. So the community coaches will be a support network really for people. Once they're engaged, it's a bit of a hand-holding, it's about some troubleshooting, and it's also showing people, it's showing our customers that actually other customers have made those changes. So it's some real practical case studies as well.
Matt was saying about the fun activities. He was asking about that, and in a way you've answered that, which is really, really good. Lindsay, if you want to come on in a minute, please do. But do you find, or have you found when you're piloting what you're going to do and when you're preparing what you're going to do, that there's an intergenerational problem you have to face as well? That, for example, elderly people will be very wary maybe of using digital techniques to contact government departments, to use web forms and so on. And do you have to treat different generations differently? Younger people will use Instagram, they will use all those things. Older people will find it very hard to know about those things. What do you do about that?
Yeah, we're very, very conscious that this programme is targeting quite a wide age range. I mean, in essence, we feel that it'll probably benefit people 30 plus to 60. Really, that's sort of the block of people that we feel really lack those skills. But you're right, you know, we have to adapt our engagement techniques and our interventions to suit the different age groups. So we do know it's a challenge in itself, but what we are doing is we're using our local community resources. So we have community rooms that are based across the area. We're using those community rooms to sort of set up little IT clubs so that people can come along and get some support. Because, you know, talking from experience and looking at my own father, who's 79, he's got a smartphone and he probably think he's very, very competent. But as soon as he gets a message, an iOS message come up, he goes into actual meltdown about what to do because he hasn't got that confidence. Well, that's what we'll be trying to address through this programme, in terms of having different ways of buddying people up, volunteers, coaches, to show people how, you know, they use applications more. You know, we're looking at some work with a digital provider around whether we can actually offer customers a tablet with an app on there and an affordable way of an affordable monthly cost around data. So we're looking at all angles really, and this programme will also pilot different tools, so whether it's smartphones, whether it's tablets, whether it's computers, that different people feel comfortable with in terms of accessing the internet. So we're just not assuming that one size fits all really, because you know, we know that that in itself is going to be a bit of a barrier.
And we consulted with a number of tenants as well before we put the bid in, to help shape the bid and to make sure that we've got it right for them. And we consulted with a wide range of ages, or tenants from different ages, to make sure that we've got all angles covered really.
Okay, Lindsay, do you have anything you want to add?
A couple of reflections. Thanks, Francis. Sorry, we've had some technical difficulties today, and I think that's going to limit people's ability to comment or ask questions. But I agree we should try and repeat it, Francis, just for reference. But I was able to hear it and watch all the slides, and I was interested to find out what the self-employment options were that you were developing, Julie and Emma, and also just to make a connection that the next webinar that we run with Francis at the end of November, details to follow, is actually all about self-employment and how that can work, and that came about after a bit of a discussion in our very first webinar, where participants were quite keen to understand what that looks like and what the challenges and opportunities are in developing create your own job schemes, basically, for tenants and residents who might be quite vulnerable and who might be moving from full benefit dependency to self-employment, which is quite a journey to take, but actually we're finding that it's a very effective offer and is quite appealing to a lot of people. So I was reflecting on that, thinking about the next webinar, and which we're doing with a company called Enterprise Cube. And I suppose a quick question back to Julie or Emma was, what are your thoughts around including self-employment, and how might you be approaching that in your project?
I think it's a key area that we need to look at. I don't know if you noticed from the results slide that the other three strands have a target for employment which includes self-employment, but we don't have that target because we're very, very specialised in the support we're giving in our strand.
Right.
But I think it's a key area to look at for us as well, and I actually come from a social enterprise self-employment background as well, of supporting other organisations, so we could definitely build it into the programme and give support, but it might be that we refer to the other strands for that self-employment element.
Okay.
Okay, and we had a question from Karen saying, how do you ensure the quality and consistency of your community champions?
Well, they're on a structured training programme, so they are employees of Walsall Housing Group, so they have a comprehensive induction programme. They go through an accredited programme. They do information, advice and guidance up to level 3 if they're with us for a long time. So we use lots and lots of different ways, but at the end of the day they go through an accredited training programme to make sure that we have that quality. They also, you know, the supervisor will go out with them, so they'll do some quality checks by, you know, accompanying them on visits, and, you know, having that sort of peer-to-peer review with them, because we do understand with that type of role that, you know, people will make mistakes. You know, we're recruiting customers with very, very raw talent, and it is very much a development role. So we appreciate that, you know, perhaps initially there will be some mistakes made, but through a structured training programme, they understand and learn about different elements around information, advice and guidance. So we try and manage it as best as we can, really. But overall, we've never really had any major issues around it. It's very much about people working in communities and for us as organisations not trying to professionalise them too much, because actually if we professionalise them too much, they're not engagers. You know, we all struggle as organisations to engage customers sometimes. So we've made a conscious decision not trying to professionalise too much our community champions so that they really reach those people that we've struggled to reach.
Matt says that where he lives in Wandle, they do a lot of work on working with tenants and supporting them pre-debt. And he's really asking whether you've got a scheme like that. So you talk to them before they get into debt and help them to ensure that possibly they don't get into debt.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work around that at the moment as an organisation. We're using a lot of the intelligence that we have and the data that we have, as I said, to target customers. But yes, it's very much about sustainment. It's about pre-tenancy support, you know, through My Home, My World. It's very much, you know, looking at how we can encourage customers who aren't working, you know, to look at opportunities to get into work, to enable them to obviously get a greater income and sustain their tenancies, and also to not get into debt. So we've got money through our money advice service internally, through our income collection team. We have mentors within the organisation that will work with customers to help them.
Okay. One of the interesting things that I found is when you looked at all the partners that you're working with, is it fair to say you don't look upon yourselves and the project you're doing as just a housing association, but you look upon yourself as a network of stakeholders, and you've got to create both an institutional network and a community network to make what you do effective?
Yes, yeah, very much so. I mean, obviously we are a housing association that has got a big contract to deliver now, but this is very much about what are the objectives of this programme and how do we deliver that for the benefit of the customer and the community. So very much looking at the partnership across the Black Country. You know, like I said at the early part of this presentation, this isn't a competitive programme. This is about how we can work with as many people to reach as many people. I mean, we hope to overachieve the target of 3,000 beneficiaries over 3 years, because we think it's a conservative programme. But having said that, we want to make sure that we make a difference and the programme has real impact. And the way to do that is very much working in partnership with other organisations and listening to our customers about what will help to make a difference to their lives. So if we can trial different things through this programme, it does give us the opportunity to do that. Clearly, we've got the flexibility around some of the funding. And working with other housing providers and training organisations and local authorities to look at how we really sort of dovetail all of the different initiatives together so that we can maximise the funding coming into the Black Country to really deliver a seamless service to the customer.